All right, welcome back to Subto Investor. My name is Hans, and in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down the numbers on my 7th subject to deal. In this deal, we brought in an equity partner and actually structured them into the deal long term. So you'll get to see on paper how this actually works out. Stay tuned. Now, this is part of my real Subto deal breakdown video series, a video series in which I'm showing you from A to Z how I do subject to deals. Now, these are actual life deals that I've done, properties that I hold to this day. My intention is to provide tremendous value to you in doing what so many trainers and gurus are not doing, which is walking through actual deals and showing you how they're done. If you like this channel, if you find value to it, please subscribe, like, comment, and tell me in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Now, I'm not going to be getting into the details of how we found this deal, structured the deal, and all that, because in the previous 2 episodes, I go through all that. What I want to do here is show you the numbers breakdown on the deal, which I'm very excited about because this has been a very profitable deal and it will probably continue to be a very profitable deal into the future. All right, so starting off, the ARV on this little dinky property was probably $75,000. This was a condo in a not so great but kind of okay area in my local market. ARV was around $75,000. That's with all the bells, whistles, totally rehabbed. Now, we bought the deal for $53,000. The way that we arrived at this number was we took this property subject to the unpaid principal balance on the loan. The underlying debt was $52,000. $52,000. Okay, so how do I get to a $53,000 purchase price? Well, we gave the seller some cash at close, $1,000. Okay, so that brings us to a $53,000 purchase price on our settlement statement. Subto loan, $52,000, $1,000 to seller at close. We actually self-closed this deal. You can learn about it in the previous episode. We didn't have any closing costs, but unfortunately, we had to do a rehab on this property, and we ended up dumping in $14,000 on the rehab. The amazing thing on this deal is that the seller had done a loan modification and they lowered her payments by lowering the interest rate from somewhere in the 6s down into, I think it was 3.125%. And they amortized it over 40 years instead of over 30 years, which brought her monthly payment amount down. The monthly PITI on her mortgage was $350 a month, 3.125%, which is an astounding interest rate. Now, if you look at this deal as a flip, let's see if the numbers work. We have a purchase price of $53,000, a rehab of $14,000. So let's add up our all-in cash expense to do the deal on a flip. $53,000, $53K plus $14K. We had holding costs, let's call it $2K. And if we were going to flip this property, then we would have borrowed private money to fund the rehab and our holding costs. We probably would have spent about $2,000 on our private money. And then when we went to go sell the house on the market, we're going to list it with a real estate agent, and then we're going to pay a buyer's agent and pay closing costs, maybe some closing concessions. So I'm just going to call that $6,000. If you add all of that up, that's $77,000. What is the ARV of this property? $75,000. That means we are underwater and taking a loss if we try to do a flip. And these finishes that we did on the rehab were nice, but they were a little less than retail nice. So really, we are underwater on this property. Now, as you guys know, I am not a retail fix and flipper or a wholesaler or a buy and hold landlord purist. I've done all those things, but what I love to do is structure deals creatively so that I can take deal duds like this and make them profitable and do it with very little or no money out of pocket. So what we did on the exit of this one was we did a lease and option, and we placed a tenant buyer in the property. I'm going to show you the numbers on that. Now, the way we do lease and options is a little different from the way most people do them. We require a rather large upfront option consideration fee, usually around 5%, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. But we're trying to find somebody who really wants to own this property but can't qualify to buy it with conventional lending. So we're going to place them in there on a lease and option to purchase. They'll have the exclusive right to buy this property. And what we do is we let them know that we are willing to finance the property for them if they're able to qualify after a set amount of months of them being in the property and paying their rent on time and keeping the lease agreement. Usually that's at least 12 months. So they have the assurance that their option consideration fee that locks them in as the potential buyer is secured as long as they perform on the lease agreement. And we're not going to require, in this case, any more money to execute a seller financing transaction for them, as long as they're able to qualify when the time comes. Now, there's multiple reasons to do it this way, which I can't get into right now, but we do put the property maintenance and repairs on our tenant buyer and let them know this is a path to home ownership. You need to be the one taking care of the property and doing all maintenance and repairs necessary, even improvements to the property, because we want to see you become the homeowner. This is different than the way most lease and options are structured. We simply collect a rent payment every single month and no further option fee on top of that each month. Rather, we collect that option fee all up front. So we're getting on this property $950 a month for rents. Now this means that the total cash flow, $950 a month, our payment is $350 a month. Cash flow on this deal is $600 a month. Now, our equity partner, who was an investor himself and brought us this deal, but just didn't want anything to do with the deal, we cut him in as a 25% equity partner. And you can go check out another video in this playlist on how to structure equity partnerships. But he's a 25% equity partner with us in the deal. His payout on the cash flow is $150 a month. Now, this may not seem like a lot, but it's a fair split because we had to do all of the work, all the rehab with cash out of our pocket. We actually did the work ourselves and we're managing the entire deal. So he simply brought the deal. It wasn't an amazing deal on paper. Again, we had to come out of pocket, rehab the whole property. And so for this, it was a 25% equity partnership with this investor. If this were a property that was, turnkey, ready to place a buyer, and basically we could just come find our end buyer or tenant buyer and execute the deal, then for sure we would go higher on the equity partnership, most likely. Our cash flow then, if we're paying him $150 every month out of the collective $600, is $450 a month. $450 a month. Now, the option consideration fee that we got on this deal was higher than we would usually do on a lease and option, but we had so much interest in this property and we wanted to recoup as much as we could to make back for the $14K that we sunk into the rehab. So on this particular deal, we collected $10,000 for an option consideration fee. This is high for a lease and option in terms of the percentage to the purchase price. I forgot to mention what the purchase price is for our tenant buyer. It's $84,000. So the $10K option fee that we collect goes toward that purchase price. So they have an unpaid principal balance once they decide to exercise the option, whether with their own financing or with our financing. Their remaining balance would actually be $74,000 because we would apply the $10,000 toward the purchase price. But the cool thing about a lease and option from the tenant buyer's perspective is that that price is locked in and we can't go out and sell this property to anybody else. They have the exclusive right to buy the property for that price with that fee applying to the price. So it's a really good deal for them. Now, still, we are about $6,000 in this deal because we put $14K into it, got $10,000 back, but we had about $2K of holding costs. So 14 plus 2 is $16,000 that we were in this deal. We made $10,000 back, so now we're $6,000 in the deal. Let's calculate how long it will take before we are cash neutral and have made all our money back on this deal. Calculate this number. All you have to do is take the $6,000 that were cash in the deal and divide it by our monthly cash flow amount. 6,000 divided by 450 equals 13.3. What that means, it's going to take a little over 13 months to make back all of our money, to make back that $6,000. And then we are cash neutral on the deal. If you look at it from a cash on cash return perspective, just an ROI perspective on the money we have in a deal, then the numbers look like this. Cash on cash, which is the same to me as ROI, we make $5,400 a year on cash flow. 450 times 12 is $5,400. So if we're making this annually, $5,400, we divide that by the $6,000 that were in the deal, then our cash on cash return is a whopping 90% cash on cash return. It's crazy. So finally, our front end profit, our cash flow, and our back end profit. I always like to calculate those three, and I calculate the back end profit at year 10, estimating that the tenant buyer will be in the property for at least 10 years because the average homeowner is in their primary residence for, on average, it's closer, I think, to 13 years now. But we'll just go with 10 because that's a nice round number. We were negative $6,000 on the front end. Cash flow is $450 a month. And check this out. After 10 years, assuming that either the buyer continues to rent or restructure seller finance terms with similar numbers, the back end spread after 10 years is 74,415. We stand to make a grand profit of close to $75,000 on a deal with negative equity. I hope this was enlightening to you. If you like this video, if you found it inspirational, helpful to you at all, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what else would you like to see me talk about on this YouTube channel. I've been spending a lot of time completing my complete beginner's guide to creative real estate investing. This is going to be an epic A to Z comprehensive video course. This course is going to teach you how to do creative finance real estate investing the way I do it. I'm going to be showing you all of my systems, and it's going to be approximately 30 videos long. All exclusive content, a fantastic opportunity to learn and dive deep into the way I do deals. You can go to my website, which just launched, subtoinvestor.com. I've already released the first part of that course. The second part is going to be finished by the new year in 2024. And you can check out information I have on the mentorship program that we just started. And there are other awesome products there as well if you're interested. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. See you on the next one. Stay creative. Peace.